Welcome to the Wartime MMA Podcast, UFC Mexico edition. It's your boys, Alex, Tony, and Mike, coming at you this weekend for honestly a pretty shitty card. Definitely mirrors the times Mexico's going through. It's a pretty shitty time in Mexico. UFC didn't think it's making a good card. Send some mid over there and be happy with the kid. That's Dana White's logic. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they're still going to Mexico. If you know anything about what's going on over there, in all seriousness, but I guess Mexico City's far enough away from Jalisco that they probably don't worry about it too much, and they probably have plenty of security on standby. But that being said, maybe the cartel comes for Loner if he wins. I mean, I don't know, but in all seriousness, I'm ready to kick it off with the first prediction of the night. Do you guys have anything you'd like to add before we start?
No, I think you said everything that needed to be said. Just good to be in a crowded event. A lot of Mexican and South American fighters on the card. So, yeah, I'm ready to start whenever y'all are.
All right. Let's get into it. Our first fight of the card, middleweight, two guys coming off the contender series, Wes Schultz and Damian Penis. This is the thing, right? Damian Penis is going to win. Damian Penis is longer than Schultz is. It's really the length of Penis that's going to give Schultz problems in this fight. Wes Schultz is honestly pretty mediocre when it comes to fighting. He's been able to get some wins on the contender series and in the regional scene. But honestly, his opponents just haven't been as hard as penises. Wes Schultz, he really needs to get the grappling going. He's a guy that wants to take the back, scale you up on the scale you on the cage, take your back, get these submissions in tow. Damien Penis, much more of a striker. He wants to keep the distance. Damien Penis really just wants to explode and come forward on you. Wes Schultz is he's pretty bad. Uh, Grappler. He's he can he's been knocked out in the contender series before. In general, he's just not very good. Whereas Penis is a hard opponent. Uh, One of the only guys repping Aruba. Uh, Honestly, you get no African talent out of or Caribbean talent. I mean, really out of that region. It says fighting out of Aruba, born in Suriname. So you don't really have people in Suriname either outside of Rosenstrike. So he's kind of representing two countries that don't have a lot of MMA representatives. Uh, Wes Schultz, just your average American bum on the regional scene. Like I said, he kind of wants to just scale the fence. I really find it hard. I don't think he's going to be able to jerk Penis away from the fence. I think Penis is going to be able to stay stiff with his takedown defense and just, you know, get his underhooks and defend him. I think Damian Penis is, he's 23. I think he has a good future. Uh, yeah, I got Penis by knockout. I'm gonna say first round. Wes Schultz is pretty dumb. I think at some point he's gonna run into Penis at some point in that first round and get knocked out. Uh, it ain't good to run into Penis, and I think Penis is gonna put him away in the first. Damian Penis, first round knockout.
Uh, uh, honestly, Alex hasn't said. He said pretty much broke it down pretty well. I'm gonna go with Damian Penis as well. I think he's larger, he's bigger, and he's stronger than Wes Schultz. And I think Wes Schultz is gonna get bullied by Penis for sure. Uh, I got nothing else to say. I think Alex kind of broke it down very very well. I'm gonna Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Penis by KO, by first round KO for Damien Penis. There, Ruben Penis.
Opening fight of Mexico City Fight Night. West Party Time Schultz going up against Damian Baby Yaga Pinas, representing Aruba. It's an interesting fight. Uh, Damian has a similar build to Michael Morales. Same height, same type of reach. 6'1", 79-inch reach, very athletic, dangerous on the feet. Wes Schultz is more of a prototypical grappler. Um, I have intel that in high school he was like an undefeated caliber wrestler. Has a very grappling heavy style. The gym he trains at features guys like Ricky Glenn, Montel Jackson, kind of just like, guys that have been in the UFC, nothing particularly special. I do think this is your prototypical striker versus grappler matchup. I think Wes Schultz is going to want to try to get takedowns and grapple. Damian Pinas, I imagine, is going to want to just strike pretty much for the most part. All of his wins essentially are by first round knockout. I do think this is I suppose, a step up in competition for Damian. Whereas with Wes Schultz, he's been in the cage with Mansour Abdul Malik. He did lose that fight, and he has a loss to Dylan Budka, who also made the UFC, but that's not a great loss particularly. I'm okay with the Mansour one because he was doing all better than expected in that fight, honestly. But then he got finished. Um, this fight really comes down to, can Damian stay on his feet? Because if he stays on his feet, I'd like to think that he is the better striker. His one career loss, it's a weird one, Damian Pinas. It's like a illegal up kick in the first round, and like he got like a loss for that. Um, there's a they both have like similar amount of fights, and I guess you could say Wes Schultz has fought better people on his regional scene collectively. He's 29 years old. Damian's 23. But I think I'll go with a Damian Pinas TKO win as well. I'm just torn between first and second round. All of his wins are essentially in the first round, and I'd like to think early on, the takedown defense would, be active. He'd have to imagine Wes Schultz is going to want to shoot pretty early into the fight. So I think I will go with you guys as well. We'll make it a clean sweep. I'm going to go first round TKO for Damian Pinas. I think Baby Yaga just finds the shots, stuff the takedowns, and does enough. He's just a better athlete, honestly. He's just a better athlete. He's the more promising fighter. Wes Schultz is like 8-2, I think. 29 years old. Pinas is 8-1, 23 years old. Relatively similar looking record, but I think there's a different level of where we see them as prospects, and I think Damian's more special. So I'm gonna go with him. Also trains at Nova União. That's like Jose Aldo's gym. So I'd like to think takedown defense was an emphasis in this camp. I'm gonna go with Damian Pinas, first round TKO. He sprawls and brawls him into a good win.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. Eric Silva is one of the worst fighters on the roster. He lost to TJ Brown. TJ Brown is no good. I honestly think TJ Brown got cut or retired. And he wasn't even that old. But like he had a hard time competing with at the UFC level himself, and that's a guy who finished Eric Silva. Uh, was knee out against Naimov in like a couple seconds, so I'm not really looking too much into that fight. It was a non-fight, but what I've seen out of Eric Silva is just pretty mid. He's 38 against a guy like Francis Marshall, who's 26, who's improving. He's got grappling, got striking. He's pretty fast. And you look at Francis Marshall's record, 8-3. It's not the prettiest record, but honestly, his losses aren't bad. William Gomez is a tough guy to fight in your debut or your second fight, I think. That's a tall guy that can keep you at the end of a jab and a front kick for all day, and he's got good footwork and he's got an ability to grapple as well. Isaac Dulgarian, when he's not throwing the fight, is a tough out as well. Myron Santos is honestly, people are thinking he should have won that fight. Watching that fight, I thought Francis Marshall won, and that is going on to age pretty damn well. Looking at it, I think one guy's going to improve here. It's obviously Francis Marshall. Eric Silva's cooked. He's just coming back from a knee injury. He's 38 as a prospect at featherweight. Yeah, no good. Like I think he represents Colombia or Venezuela, which they don't have too many fighters, but seems like there's a reason for that. A lot of these guys get here too late and they kind of past their prime, or they're just really not that good in general, and they fought only people in the regional scene in their country. I'm gonna have to go Francis Marshall. I'm gonna say KO in the first 2 rounds. I think he could take it to the ground or finish him on the feet. I'm gonna say a second ground and pound TKO for Francis Marshall, though. I think that's the edge. Eric Silva can be a little bit explosive with spinning attacks on the feet. I think Francis Marshall can really neutralize that one chance Eric Silva has by mixing in the takedowns. So I'm going to show Francis Marshall by second round ground and pound. Mike.
Oh, want me to go? Bet. I got you. Second fight of the night here in Mexico City. We are in the featherweight division, if I'm not mistaken. We got Francis Marshall, the Fireman. I think he might have changed it to Fire as his actual nickname now, going up against Eric King Silva. We got two kings on this card, allegedly. That's funny. Good fight here. I do think this is a pretty steep step down in competition, in my opinion, for Francis Marshall in this one. I look at, just like Alex said, you look at his record, you know, you're unassuming to it. 8-3 looks journeymanish, right? He's only 26 years old. His three losses, I think they speak for themselves. Isaac Bulgarian, when he's not throwing a fight, at a point in time, was this undefeated American prospect who was they were raving about Isaac Bulgarian. That people are not going to remember, man. Like they were talking about this guy like he was going to be the shit. Losing to him, and then the other two losses, dude, they're split. Like, really, go rewatch both fights. You could make a legitimate case that Francis Marshall won both fights against William Gomez and Myron Santos, the Ultimate Fighter winner. Both are very elusive and very frustrating to deal with on the feet in their own different ways. Gomez and Myron Santos, no question in my mind, those guys are just a world's difference level of striker compared to a older featherweight like Silva is here. His losses, you know, the leg injury to Naimov, you know, that was kind of like you can't expect that. You can't call for that to occur. The TJ Brown loss was bad. I want to say he was favored in that fight, and he got submitted in that one, out grappled pretty visibly. And his other career losses in 2016 by rear naked choke. I just think this is a massive step down for Francis Marshall. I think he's been in there with a lot of tough guys at featherweight, and in this one, I think he's younger, better grappler, more time on his hands to improve, and just the better. Like he, if he wins, I think it's for the better of the sport. I think he's got more time to show us a career, whereas Silva, I think they both have relatively similar record in amount of pro fights. Silva's 40, this guy's 26. I'm just torn between submission and TKO because it seems like outside of the leg injury, Silva gets subbed a lot, and I'm looking at Marshall's record. He has a lot of rear naked chokes. I don't mind Alex's ground and pound take, but I'll go submission. I feel like he can get it either club and sub, or he can get it just off of just being just a better grappler overall, getting the takedown and advancing position. So I'm gonna go with a Francis Marshall second round submission. Fireman suffocates Solo with a submission. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I got Francis Marshall as well. Clean sweep. I think I think he's just the better overall fighter. I do agree with Tony. I do think he could have won that Gomez and Myron Santos fight. I I think he's a pretty decent fighter, and he's only 26. He's only gonna get better. I'm not saying he's gonna be like a legit star in the making or anything, but I don't think he's horrible. I think he's pretty decent. I think he'll TKO I think he'll TKO Eric Silva here. I think I'll go second round TKO, ground and pound shots, or when he drops him he goes for the ground and pound shots.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Ernesta Caracate versus the late notice replacement, Regina Taryn. I've actually heard a lot of people saying this replacement, Regina Taryn, is better than the original opponent, Sofia Montenegro. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know jack shit about either one. I guess Montenegro has losses, and what's her name is undefeated, and also as Mike is suggesting, she's pretty bad. So that's definitely helpful. She was originally going to get signed to the WWE, which is interesting, and was scheduled for a Muay Thai fight. So she can really do it all. She can strike, she can grapple, from what I can see in her Tapology resume or just her fight resume. But I think Regina Taryn, this is a tough fight. 130. I think both girls are pretty big. Looking at the intangibles, though, Ernesta Caracate has 5 inches of reach advantage. That's pretty significant in any weight class. I think as a kickboxer, Karate, it seems like Regina Taryn specializes as being a kickboxer as well. I do think this will predominantly be a kickboxing fight. And I think if it stays that way, Kara Kate would win. She's taller, she's longer, and she's been preparing for a fight for longer against an opponent on this card, whereas Regina Taryn's kind of coming in on short notice. That being said, if Regina Taryn mixes in the grappling, this fight could change. Because that is Kara Kate's weakness. I think I'm looking at the ages 27 for Karakate, 21 for Taryn. I think Taryn might come in. This is a Mexico card. She's a Mexican girl. She's young, 21. She might be feeling herself a little bit undefeated. It's like, yeah, I'm a kickboxer. She's a kickboxer. We're going to throw down a bit. And I feel like that might be where she runs into a bit of a running forward into a jab type of fight. Karakate is long. She can use like her long legs and her arms to defend takedowns. Taryn hasn't really submitted anybody good. It's hard to say. I am leaning, I think, Kara Kate slightly just because she was expecting a UFC fight. Her intangibles on the feet. The fact that I think the Mexican woman, I can't think of her name, even though I've said it all night. Uh, I think it'll be mostly a kickboxing fight, and I think the grappling will be fewer and far between. And I think Kara Kate can mitigate it with her size and her takedown defense. I'm gonna say Ernesta Kara Kate split decision.
All right, I'll take it out from here. Tough fight, tough fight indeed. You know, I did a little I did a little studies on the new signee. Not that type of signee, you fucking weirdos. Oh my gosh, man. Damn. Horny ass. Anyways, no, I actually did do some study though. I saw some tape off Regina. I think she is pretty decent for a woman's fighter. She has a decent kickboxing style and stuff like that. She has most of her wins are via finish. She has a rear naked choke one too a year ago, but it's a 1-1 bitch, so I don't really rate that very highly. But I'm gonna go with Regina Taryn here. I think she's gonna pull it off here on short notice. I think there's a it's not a coincidence that she is signed to the UFC and it's in her hometown of Mexico. And I could just so see her try to pull it off here on a short notice win here. And she doesn't have to cut a fuck ton of weight either. God bless her. Um, I think she's gonna get it done. Women's. Do I really want to gamble with this one? Let me see something here. No, she's never been KO'd. I'm gonna go with Regina Taryn by split decision, but she could pull it off somehow on in the finishing standpoint. She is a tough bitch, but I think this is level a high level opponent. Not a high level opponent, but you know what I mean. Like this is a step up for her. It's on short notice, etc., etc. I think she'll pull it off here. I got Regina Taryn by split decision, maybe a unanimous decision, and let's hope my sources and my tape study, my knowledge of the sport is of women's MMA is correct here.
Interesting fight here in the women's flyweight division. This fight being a catchweight for the short notice replacement. Originally, Ernesta Karakete, representing Lithuania, 6-1-1 record, was supposed to fight Montenegro, who fought in the Contender Series this past season and who actually was part of my female 3-round fight of the year vote in our award show, our last time out. Montenegro was a good scrapper, but she pulled out of this fight due to injury, and now we have undefeated Mexican Regina Taryn as her replacement. And I don't know the validity to all the stories that are coming out, but allegedly this girl was signed, not signed. She passed like her WWE tryout, and she could have been in the WWE right now. she had an actual Muay Thai fight scheduled, like on pretty much this fight date, essentially, and she took the opportunity to take the UFC debut in this one. Um, as Mike alluded to, she's you know caught the attention of a lot of us MMA fans because this is her debut for good reason. Obviously, it's a tough fight though, man. I think this is a really good fight in flyweight. This is 6-1-1 Lithuanian versus 7-0 Mexican. It's a tough fight. I do think striking you have to give to Ernesta Karakete. It's just more proven at a higher level in kickboxing and in MMA altogether. She does have a split decision win over Carly Judice, which I do rate. Even though Judice isn't coming off of the best performance ever against Juliana Miller, I still think she's a very good striker and a good fighter at women's flyweight. So to have that win is a feather in her cap. She's a big girl. 5-inch reach advantage in this one. I do think striking technicality, you would have to give the edge towards Karakete and experience. Not to mention she had a full camp for this one. But as for Regina Taryn, I have a feeling that she's the more well-rounded fighter. I feel like between the two of them, if one of them's going to grapple and push a pace in the clinch or anything like that, I think it would be Taryn. She's not a small girl. Her build to me is very reminiscent of Tatiana Suarez. I think she's got broad shoulders. I don't know the extremity of her grappling. I haven't done too much tape study, obviously, because it's a short notice fight. But I think even though she was scheduled to do a Muay Thai fight this week and she's been improving her training, I think she's gonna mix in grappling more than we think. As well as this fight being in Mexico, I think if it is a close fight, Ernesta Karakete is no stranger to split decisions. Some have gone her way. You know, her one loss, I don't remember if the Deanne Barboza decision was a split, but she lost that fight because of grappling. Naturally, that seems to be the more she's more deficient. She seems to be a good striker, but she doesn't really separate that great. Only 2 knockouts and 6 wins, so she often goes to decisions. And this fight being in Mexico, I could easily see, if it's close, they give it to Tarrant and remain undefeated. So this is a really tough one. It really But I'm actually going to go with the short notice replacement, Regina Taryn. I think she's a better prospect than Montenegro. Even though Montenegro had a good fight in her loss in the contender series, I think Taryn's got more upside. I think she's more well rounded. And I do expect her to mix in grappling, even though she was training for a striking bout for this week. So I'm going to go with a Regina Taryn decision win where it's competitive. And you could even argue that Ernesta's landing the better shots on the feet, but she's able to keep close enough in the total strike count, have more takedown attempts, just do more activity where you'll feel like Karakete arguably left something on the table and she didn't do enough. So I'm going to go with the Regina Taryn decision win. It could be a split, but a decision win nonetheless. So I'm going to go with the upset in this one. I think she is the underdog, if I'm not mistaken. Check Tapology on that. But we can move on.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Douglas Silva, D'Andrade versus Javier Reyes. Now, I think I'm going to be picking Javier Reyes. Some of my friends here might be picking Javier Reyes by a larger margin than me. I would not part money on this. I don't think Javier Reyes' defense is good at all. I could see Douglas Silva Andrade piping him. Pause down the straight hand down the middle, down the pipe. You know what I meant. I could see him doing that. Reyes runs into shots. That being said, he is a pressure fighter. I like that because I feel like it can kind of go either way and it makes for a fun fight. This guy is going to go forward no matter what. And we love guys like that. No matter if they are mid or not, they make a good fight. He's going to run forward and try to finish him by submission or TKO every part of this fight. That being said, Douglas Silva Andrade, former bantamweight, small, uh, has a lot of power, and honestly, has never been finished by anybody other than Petr Yan in the UFC. And even then, that was a doctor stoppage. That wasn't a proper TKO. Douglas Silva Andrade is, he's not the greatest, but he's, he was a former ranked bantamweight. Fought for people like Petr Yan, case in point. I don't mind kind of talking myself into it. Me thinks the fact that you're 40 you ain't full row even that is going to I can see it needs the body on that like bring really fast go for it. And I honestly think in order to win this fight, he does need to go for it against a guy like as much as he is. He pushes Douglas. Douglas is going to have to push him back, and honestly, in order to do that, he's going to have to sacrifice some of his cardio. That makes me want to lean in the direction of Javier Reyes by decision, but it is close. I'm going to say Javier Reyes 29-28 decision in a scrap.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Alex. I got Javier Reyes by decision as well. Uh, Douglas De Silva de Andrade is pretty good. He is a an OG of the division and stuff, but I think age is catching up to him, and I just don't see him pulling it off here, unfortunately. Uh, I do think he will toughen it out though. He is a tough motherfucker, and it's kind of hard to put him away. Uh, but yeah, I got Javier Reyes by decision. Javier.
Interesting fight here in the featherweight division. Former bantamweight Douglas De Silva de Andrade going up against see this Reyes, Javier Reyes, representing. I'm assuming that's the Colombian flag. Yes, that is. It's a good fight in the featherweight division. Douglas is small. He's been in there with like tough guys. A lot of his losses, I mean, they are pretty decent bantamweights. He's losing to prime. He was mostly a bantamweight for his career. Miles Johns. I'm higher on Miles Johns than most. Saeed Nurmagomedov. That one hasn't aged as well, but still, it's not. It's a name. Lerone Murphy. That's obviously a good one. Piotr Jan, prime Rob Font in 2017. Well, maybe not prime, like right before prime, but still. Jabira Turkagov, at one point was at that point in time he was 15-3, I think he was, or something like that. But yeah, nonetheless, onto this fight. He's old, but still in amazing shape. Doesn't really get finished outside of Piotr Jan, so pretty durable. Douglas is. It's a tough fight. I do think Douglas has fought the better people than Javier Reyes, but you're just catching them at different phases of their career. You're catching Douglas at like 40. He's smaller in this weight class. Reyes, he has been finished before. He's been knocked out twice. He's been stubbed before, and he's lost two decisions. So he's lost every method essentially. Um, I suppose you can give an edge to Douglas in durability and chin, just given that he's only been knocked out really by Piotr. You know, I don't hate a dog shot. I don't. I do think Douglas is definitely better than the guy he beat in the Contender Series and Justice Torres. That's a given for sure. But his last two losses Reyes sustained aren't that bad. Chris McCate, he's not bad. He's like 11-3 in LFA. Larry and Douglas, he's signed to fight Julian Erosa soon. Their records aren't crazy, but they're not bad fighters. I'm reluctant with this one. I'm I'm gonna make it a clean sweep. I do not hate a Douglas dog shot though. I kind of don't, honestly. The more I'm thinking about it, fuck. I'm kind of tempted to go Douglas. I'm not gonna lie, because like technicality wise, I kind of think he might be. I think he's more technical than fucking Javier Reyes, coming from like mainly fighting at bantamweight and fighting at featherweight. But the durability, even though I do think he has a better chin, like he's older now. Reyes is 32. Man, this is tough. This is a tough fight. Reluctantly, I'm gonna go Javier Reyes decision, but I am not confident in it. I do not hate a Douglas shot. I'm just gonna assume that the youth advantage it's visible. I'm assuming the longer the fight goes, Douglas is gonna slow down, and I think round one I do expect Douglas to come out like hot. I think round one Douglas is gonna be dangerous, and Javier is gonna have to weather the storm, and he's gonna have to win the next two rounds. Maybe even get a late finish, depending on the cardio of Douglas, but I'm gonna go decision because I think his gas tank at featherweight isn't that bad. So I'll go Javier Reyes decision reluctantly. Not that confident in it though.
Yeah, it's a definitely probably toughest fight to call on the card so far, outside of this and the women's fight. Both are very tough. Moving on to a fight that's a little less hard to call, a true coughing baby versus coughing baby fight, a rare one. Christian Quinones versus Chris Matuino. Two guys that just straight up don't deserve to be here. Christian Quinones, thank God, Mexican. You're in the UFC because of it. He should get a Quiznos sponsorship if Quiznos is still around. I don't think they are, but his name is close enough to Quiznos that he could be like Christian Quiznos Quinones. But yeah, Chris Moutinho, good old vape shop employee, O'Malley victim, Wellmaker victim. Really just a flashlight for the who's who. Guido Canetti victim. I mean, anybody can get it. You know what I mean? What's next? He got finished by like Natalia Silva. It's not gonna end. Chris Moutinho is gonna come in here and lose. Both suck, like I mentioned. Christian Quinones is bigger though, hits harder, better boxer, I think. Moutinho has had a bit of a streak when he after he got out of the UFC, crushed some cans, got back in the UFC on short notice to like replace somebody. I think to fight Wellmaker. I think that was his get back, and now he's facing Quinones, which is a lot easier than fucking Wellmaker or O'Malley, but I still am gonna have to go Quinones. I just think Chris Moutinho sucks. I can't see Chris Moutinho winning a fight. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go Christian Quinones by KO in the second round. I think he'll catch. He is big and powerful. Pause.
Uh, yeah, ain't really much other thing to say. I think, I think Chris Moutinho is gonna get fucking killed, yo. Like, I don't really see anything other than that. If Chris Moutinho pulls this off, he has the opportunity to do the funniest shit in Mexican history. Not only he has his first fucking UFC win, but it's in the fucking enemy territory in Mexico against the fucking Mexican. That would be funny as hell. But I don't think he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna get first round knocked out. Uh First round KO'd, my bad. I just don't think he's I could see him toughing it out and going into the second, but I think he's gonna get fucking killed, man. Like he's just like Alex said, he's a fucking he's a blow up doll. He's like used around in in any place known to man, and he's about to be used one in fucking Mexico and against a Mexican. So, orderly, have fun with that.
Interesting fight here in the bantamweight division. I like how Alex coined this one. This is a coughing baby versus a coughing baby. Chris Moutinho 14-7, Christian Canoa is 18-5. These guys are no strangers to defeat in their careers. I'm not saying that as a knock on them. I'm just saying that as a fact. These guys have multiple losses in their careers. They're obviously, flawed to a degree. Every fighter in some facet to an extent is flawed. But these guys, it's very visible where their weaknesses and deficiencies are in their game. For Canoas, I want to say he all of his losses I think are all by finish. I think he's been knocked out twice, and I think he has 3 submission losses. Um, Chris Moutinho, out of his 7 losses, I mean, I off the top of my head, I have to think at least like 4 to 5 of them are by knockout. Like he's very hittable. I think it's a kind of a binary fight. I think Moutinho, he's probably gonna strike in Mexico, but if he's trying to get his first win in the UFC, I'd highly recommend trying to grapple. I don't think Quinones is anything crazy on the ground. His takedown defense isn't special. He's been subbed multiple times in his career, and you know I haven't really seen any grappling exchanges from Moutinho in his UFC appearances. I know he went on like a little tear in the regional scene when he lost and then came back during that span of time, but in his UFC fights, he just to be blunt, he's kind of a punching bag. He's just striking with them. I'd like to see him at least try a level change, try to see what the grappling looks like of Quinones. And if you're Quinones, I don't think his striking is like revolutionary or world class, but for what it's worth, he has a doctor stoppage TKO against Vinicius Oliveira on the regional scene. He can go forward. He can Mexicans like to scrap. I think it's very binary, very black and white. I highly recommend Moutinho grapples. I think he can actually have success in this fight if he does. And if it's Canoas, I think you want to strike with him, try to beat him up like a pinata. Chris Coutinho's head movement is not real. He moves very linear. He doesn't take shots well. I mean, for what it's worth, I guess he does shots well for the amount of times he's getting hit. So
You cut out. Rose. If you can hear me, you froze.
Uh, fuck, man.
yeah, so I'm crashing.
Yeah, we're gonna need some serious editing on that one.
That's fine. You just want to take it. I was yapping too much on it. I'll go second round TKO. Christian Canoas. Not really high on either one of them, obviously, but yeah, I just feel like this is set up for him to win. So, but if Coutinho grapples and get interesting, but I'm gonna go second round TKO. Christian Canoas. He's just a better striker, so I'm gonna go with that.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card: Macy Chiasson versus Eileen Perez. You know, maybe a year ago I could have been convinced to pick Macy Chiasson, but not after losing Deanna fucking Santos. No way, no how, no sir, no ma'am, no way, no how. That ain't happening. Fuck all that. You can't lose to Yana Santos and take yourself seriously as an MMA fighter. I don't care if you're a women's division. Losing to Yana Santos is like losing to like the old grocery clerk at a Walmart. Like the hey, do you need any help with your bags? That's who you lost to, and you're a professional UFC fighter. Like Izzy Chasson, weight bully, huge for any weight class she fights in. Used to like not even be able to make bantamweight, and only fought at featherweight for like the course of 2 years, and made a bit of a run. I forgot who she beat. I want to say it was Carol Rosa, maybe sound right, or is that Eileen? But Macy Chasson, she went on a bit of a run. She looked really good in her last couple fights. But like looking back on it, Panny Kianzad and Mayra Bueno Silva are not quality wins. Eileen Perez, her wins, which are Carol Rosa, that's one of them, are more quality. Jocelyn Edwards, that's aging a lot better now, and she's a very good grappler. And if you can get out grappled by Yana Santos, Eileen Perez, no matter how much she be throwing ass and selling pussy and all that shit, she's still gonna win because Chiasson sucks and she let a grandmother beat her. Like at this point, Yana Santos is like knitting like a handmade quilt for Tiago after he gets back off his 14th knee surgery, and that's who you let beat you. You know what I mean? She's knitting scarves all day, and like I've had enough. I've said my piece. Machine Gun Kelly sucks. He got bitched by Connor at that fucking Emmys thing. He's gonna get bitched by fucking Eileen Perez, and she's gonna twerk on her grave. Honestly, if you get decisioned and now grappled by Yana Santos, I think Eileen Perez finishes you. I'm gonna say ground and pound into a submission for Eileen. I think she's gonna just start opening up on mount, pause, and well, actually not pause, play. But yeah, I think eventually she'll open up an arm bar, an arm triangle, or something like that with the ground and pound and get a finish. Xiaosan sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Alex. I got Eileen Perez. It took me a minute for me to get the Machine Gun Kelly joke there, but yeah, I got Eileen Perez as well. I think he said it best. If you're getting your ass whooped by a Gail Lewis impersonator and Yana Santos, you don't belong here. And honestly, getting fucking randomly, I forgot how she got kicked, but the Irene Aldana fight, she fucking bitched out in that fight. I can't lie to you. You're up 2 rounds and you just randomly get fucking kicked to the body and you're like, "Oh, no, never mind. Never mind. You win." Like, bro, come on, bro. You're a fucking bitch, dude. I'm gonna go with Eileen Perez with the cream pie special. I got unanimous decision. I hate Alex for even telling me about that fucking thing. Disgusting.
Interesting fight here in the women's bantamweight division. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second women's bantamweight fight of the year. We would have had the title fight being our first one, but it had to pull out in 324 because of Kayla Harrison's neck injury. Here we are, and bro, this is number 7 versus number 8 in the world. This is the women's bantamweight division. Eileen Perez, since losing her UFC debut, has reeled off a 5-fight win streak where I definitely rate 2 of the wins for sure out of the 5-fight win streak, but strength of schedule I will give to Macy Chiasson. She's just been in there with higher level bantamweights. But nonetheless, Eileen Perez, I mean, ever since she lost that debut, the Jocelyn Edwards win is good, and the Carol Rosa win I think is good as well. She's been pretty consistent in getting takedowns, getting top control, going forward. Really good optics when it goes to a decision. Her style, I think, is really catered towards decisions. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I think all of her, not all, I think she's never lost a decision. I think she's very good in decisions. She's 6-0, 6-0 to decisions. She's been subbed once. She also has 4 pro knockout wins. I'm definitely going Eileen Perez. She has made it known that if Macy misses weight, that she will not fight. But I don't know if I believe that. I feel like even if she misses weight, I think she'll still fight. Um, Macy Chasson, I just think there's a difference in mentality in this one. Like Mike said, that's a perfect example. Up multiple rounds against Irene Aldana, and you fold to that. I mean, good kick on Irene Aldana, but come on, dude. Like, man, that was just how we drew it up, Irene. Lose the first 2 rounds and then hit this perfect shot that no one's gonna ever hit ever again. Yeah, just how we drew it up. Like, come on, you can't bank on that. But even still, like, how you gonna fold to that? I know it was a body shot, but come on, man. Like, call a fluke, whatever. But the only thing I'll give Macy Chasson in this matchup is size, reach, and experience against strength of schedule, so to speak. But momentum, youth, uh, just like confidence. I think Eileen Perez is surging right now. Ever since her UFC debut loss, she's just been reeling off these decisions. I don't hate a finish here. I think that she can melt or pound out Macy Chasson. I do think if it is a finish, I think it's a TKO. I'm torn between decision and TKO, but I'll reach. Elevation, Macy Chasson. I don't like her mentality. Eileen Perez, South American. I think this is her environment. I think she can adjust properly here. I think her style is going to wear on Macy Chasson even without elevation. Now you're throwing elevation as a factor. I'm bold enough to reach. I'm going to go with a 3rd-round TKO for Eileen Perez where pressure from takedowns and just exhaustion mounts and Macy Chasson just kind of quits. So I'm going to go with a 3rd-round TKO for Eileen Perez. Fiona does her signature celebration at the end of the fight.
Fiona.
Thaudamus Maximus with another UFC victory. Moving on to our next fight of the card. Ryan Gandra versus Jose Medina.
My boy.
Oh no! Where do I start with this one? Bolivia's best that they have to offer, which is sad. I want to send money to Bolivia to help them out. Like this is now before we get into Ryan Gander, I just want to recap. Let's go through memory lane a little bit when it comes to our boy. Comes into the Contender Series 11-2, pretty good record. Fights this guy Magomed Gaziazilov. Yeah, real Dagestani. Nobody knew he sucked ass too. Okay, nobody knew that. And that fight wasn't even close. It was just like Godzilla fucking jabbing him and having a boring fight in fucking Medina just fucking emoting like a retard and just getting his shit rocked back. And every time he gets jabbed, he just starts emoting. And fucking Laura Sanko and all the commentators are like, this is a great fight. It's like, this is, some of the worst display I've seen in any sports ever. And, they signed Jose Medina because he lost. Like, they're like, I love everything about this kid. I love the way he takes a punch and keeps taking a punch. You know, he's a heavy bag of heavy bags. I don't know a whole lot about Ryan Gandra, but I'm gonna guess he's better. I did a little research, and I'm gonna get into him in a minute. But shits the bed in his Contender Series debut, but he emotes enough to aura farm points for these fucking old boomers in the UFC to want to sign him. Okay, I don't know. They had like a flashback of Julio Cesar Chavez's like uncle who was like fat and alcoholic and like hit him. I don't know what they were thinking about, but like they saw something in him and nobody else saw that. Gets matched up with Zach Reese. Zach Reese fucking schools him for 3 rounds. More of the same, a little bit more entertaining. What does Jose Medina do? Starts fucking emoting. Starts getting his fucking shit rocked back again. And then the UFC and me and everyone else gets tired of this fat fuck's shit. Like, all right, Teba Gautier, bad. Getting sent to Agartha. And Teba Gautier did just that. Just fucking murdered him for the world to see. And thank God he did. Gets matched up with Dushko Todorovic, which is a layup. They're like, hey man, we still like you. We're gonna give you a fucking bum. Dushko Todorovic, who has no cartilage in his knees and no cells in his brain, fucking subs him in one. Now, this is enough to get good fighters cut. A 4-fight losing streak. Not even winning your Contender Series fight and immediately losing your next 3 fight. 2 of them have a finish in the first round. This is a guy that needs to go. He's got to go. You know what I mean? Like Ryan Gandra, I saw a little bit of tape on him. I'm going to be honest. Some of the time he shows up in shape. Other times he shows up looking like Jose Medina. Same shape. I saw some tape where he's fat. He's still winning. But if this is an athletic Ryan Gander, he should get it done. I don't care what he does, where he's been, or anything else. He's beating Jose Medina because Jose Medina ain't beating anybody. Jose Medina just needs to be fucking just like I don't even know. Lock him up. Like Guantanamo Bay isn't a bad enough prison for him. Like he's a terrorist of terrorists. Like this is a man who just straight up doesn't deserve to be here. Like he's like he like he like illegally immigrated into the UFC. Like nobody signed him. He just somehow got here, and nobody knows how. He just showed up one day. He's not paying his taxes. Yeah, 4-fight losing streak, bro. Just get him out. Get him out. And yeah, Ryan Gandra. No, Ryan Gandra can stay though because he seems like he could have an ability to not be fat and have some talent. And honestly, if you have an ability to just maybe be less fat, I'm gonna pick you over this fat fucking retard that deserves no love. Or UFC wins, it seems. Take your fucking like 5K to lose and dip. Ryan Gander, first round KO.
Uh um I'll break down last. Tony sounds pretty hyped up to talk about his goat right here. I'm gonna let my boy cook real quick.
Appreciate you, big dog. Yeah. Let me break this one down. Welcome to the middleweight division, the pride of Bolivia, my boy. Man, does he look like Gilbert Urbina's drunk uncle or what? I mean, Jose Medina. What can be said about Chicho? That is his nickname. I don't even know. Um, he's Bolivian, but man, like, does he not look like the stereotypical Mexican? Um, he's the punching bag of punching bags, as Alex said. I mean, what else could be said? But let's keep it a buck. I mean, like, even though it's some low level middleweights, he's been in there with some killers, bro. Like Mansour Abdul Malik, if I'm not mistaken. Well, definitely a Teba Gautier. Hopefully, I'm not confusing the two. That'd be a great. No, he did not fight Mansour Abdul I am tripping. But yeah, Tipa Gautier, Gadulov was undefeated at the time. Not good though. Zach Reese, meh. Dusko Tordovich outgrappled him. Uh, Logic 100%. Ryan Gandra wins this fight. Better record, younger, more power. From what I saw on the tape, though, I'm not gonna lie, he kind of just swings hooks. That's all I really got from Gandra. Very aggressive, goes forward. Not like not the best footwork, not the best head movement. He's just literally clobbering these guys with hooks. And now this is like style wise, it meets like him going forward versus an immovable object like Jose Medina. This fight being an elevation, I think that matters. I'm not gonna lie. I could so see a world where Gandra looks like he's gonna kill Medina in the first round, and he's Myra Buena Silva maxing as to what Alex is saying. He's gonna do his signature. What? You hit me? I like that hasn't happened before, right? Fucking it happens every fucking fight. Like this ain't new to me. You in my world now. I'm not gonna lie, man. I could so see a world where Gandra looks like, oh my god, he was the pick. It was easy. He's gonna fucking first round KO him. But Medina survives the first round, and the longer this shit goes, it's like, yo, Medina's kind of landing more than I thought he would at this point. I could see it snowballing into his first UFC win. I swear I can. Logic 100% is Ryan Gandra. But I said it last week in the co-main event. I've never been one to make the logical pick. This one is like a full court shot. This one's a fucking reach. This is I know what I'm walking into, right?
Ryan Kelleher maxing.
This 100%. This reeks of Brian Kelleher, Cody Garbrandt. But I'm thinking like I could so see the world where Gandra wins the first round, right? But as the fight progresses, he ain't looking as sharp. He ain't looking as spry, and it's getting ugly. And I'm gonna go third round fucking TKO Jose Medina in a fight where he gets like 10-8'd in the first round. He looks dead on. He looks like on death's doorstep. Like he's fucking dead. But he survives it. They make it to the end of the bell. I think he gets dropped in the first round. And then Gandra's like, okay, I dropped this guy. I hurt him, but he's still not going away. And slowly but surely, you're going to see Gandra start whiffing on these big power shots. And you're going to visibly see his gas tank kind of diminish. Whereas Medina is just going to be in the corner, like doing his, still here. I'm still here. I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And it's going to snowball and culminate where Chichito, is that his fucking nickname, is going to get a third round TKO in a swamp in Mexico City in elevation. Exhaustion, fatigue, TKO for Medina, and I will be crying tears of joy for my boy where he gets his first UFC win. The pride of Bolivia defies logic this weekend.
There is a world where that happens.
Full court shot. I'm calling it too. I'm like I'm in the nosebleeds and I just shot that shit. If this hits, I'm him.
Yeah. That would be crazy. That would be fucking crazy.
I could so see it. I could see a world where like Gandra drops him round one and he doesn't really press the envelope, even though he should flurry him and try to kill him. And it's like a cockroach. You got to kill a cockroach when you can. If you let the cockroach live, it's gonna survive. And I think Medina does. And I think this fight being elevation, I don't know what Gandra looks after round one. I don't. For the most part, I don't know what he looks like after round one.
Well, it's a great pick from Tony. It really is, but I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna be that fucking stupid and that ballsy to fucking go all in on my chips here. I think I'm gonna stay in warm territories and go with Ryan Gandra. I think he's gonna starch Jose Medina. Fuck me if this motherfucker Tony gets it right. The props in the world needs to happen in the fucking comments section, bro. Holy shit. I don't really have anything to break down here. I think Jose Medina should get killed.
Yeah, I feel like it's first round knockout Gandra, or I might have a chance at greatness.
Yeah, there is a world where that happens. There really is. Gandra showed up fat himself multiple times.
That too, I'm gonna pay attention to that. I already know what Medina's gonna look like. I want to see what Gandra looks like. I already know what Medina's gonna look like.
The fucking lard is what Medina's gonna look like. Gandra
But
looked athletic on the Contender Series, so
mhm.
whereas Medina looked like a fat sack of shit then too. So I'll give Gander that credit. Like last time we saw him, he was in shape.
And I think no question, like this is a stereotypical thing I'm gonna say. No question, athletic speed, power, and like just overall like uber talent, Brazilian smokes Bolivia. But I weirdly feel like endurance, stamina, like I could see Bolivia being better. Like Brazilians, they're not known for great gas tanks. They're known for being dynamic and special, but that costs cardio, that costs energy. So we'll see.
Yeah, cardio and grittiness, all that is definitely an X factor when it comes to two coughing babies fighting, two mid fighters. So definitely an interesting fight. If Gandra loses, I'm gonna fucking I don't know how that would actually get it canceled.
Not to mention
He would,
Our boy Mike is undefeated at middleweight, so we shall see if he retains his title this year. Mike's undefeated in middleweight picks.
sir, Medina, fucking Medina.
Hold on one second. Let me zoom in here. Gandra, bro. If you fuck me over here in my record, I already have your wife and children kitten. No, I'm playing. No, let me not get the channel take. I don't want to get the FBI rated here. But nah. I will fade you for all eternity though.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. Border Boy Santiago Luna, that's actually his nickname, versus Angel Pacheco. Now, I had a take earlier in the week that this fight was actually pretty close, and I stand on that. I think this fight is about as close as the Quang Lee fight was. Luna. It's going to be kind of scrappy because that's the fight both of these guys have. I think it'll be a little bit harder for Luna than Quang Lee. I think Pacheco's a better boxer. I could see this going the distance. I could see this fight being very scrappy and both guys trying to mix in the grappling whenever they're starting to lose the scrap battle. I think Santiago Luna being the younger fighter, the taller fighter, and the tough fighter with more reach. I think he's just gonna wind up winning these exchanges more often. He's more vicious. I think he's faster. I think he hits harder as well. Just with the longer reach. Uh, that enough. I don't see Angel Pacheco as really anything crazy. He had a war on the contender series. I want to say with Danny Silva, which he lost, but they signed him anyway. Uh, Very Jose Medina like situation, except this was actually a good fight. And then he lost to Lochran in his UFC debut, which isn't a great look. He had his moments. He got calf kicked a lot in that fight. I do remember. Lochran was able to find the calf kick on him often. He was able to pretty much make him fight on one leg. And looking at Santiago Luna, I don't know how dynamic he is with the calf kick. I think just in Mexico, young Mexican dude like this, I already talked about his intangibles, why I think he's slightly above average compared to Pacheco. I just think in this sort of fight where both of them kind of want to fight, which I feel like is a phone booth close range boxing fight, I favor the size and speed and power of Luna. So I'm gonna say Pacheco's tough enough to make it to a decision, but it's kind of a sloppy looking, scrappy, fun fight, and really just sloppy and ugly looking in other times fight. I'm gonna say 29-28. Border Boy wins by decision in Mexico.
Well, tough, good, tough. Not really a tough fight to predict. What the fuck am I saying? I'm gonna go with the border boy here. I think he's gonna kill Angel Pacheco. Pacheco Mexican too or nah? Nah, it doesn't say. It just says he's American. He's
Oh,
from
you said Pacheco.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Pacheco's
Huh?
not. You said
Yeah.
Pacheco. I said yeah.
Yeah, he ain't Mexican. He's from Minnesomalia. So I'm gonna go with Santiago Luna. I think he's gonna just cook, bro. I mean, I mean, last week I picked the original Border Boy. Shout out Sean Strickland. But I'm gonna go with the rebooted Border Boy, the Anakin Skywalker of the Mexican scene. I'm gonna go with Luna here. I'll go with first or second round KO.
Good fight here. Undefeated Mexican prospect, 21 years old, Santiago Luna, border boy, undefeated. Uh, all of his pro wins by finish, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's got some late finishes. He's got a third round TKO, a third round submission. So he's not as much as like a first round merchant as I thought he was coming off of his win over Quang Lee in an exciting fight where it was like kind of back and forth, but he was able to come back in early in the round and pretty much get him out of there in round one. Going up against Angel Pacheco, 7-3 record, a lot of amateur fights, a lot of amateur fights for the most part. All he's never been finished in the amateurs or in professional. Uh, Coming off back-to-back losses by decision against Colin Loughran and Danny Silva. He had an exciting fight. His 30-27 loss against Silva was competitive, but didn't win, but still was able to get signed. He is training with New England Cartel. I think the longer the fight goes, that would favor Angel Pacheco, given the experience and just how many decision-based scenarios he's been in, even though he hasn't been particularly successful in some of those. He's above 500, trains at a decent gym, but hasn't fought since it feels like 2024. It's 2026. I mean, don't love the activity. And I actually think Santiago Luna's, he's very raw, very green. He only has the 7 pro fights, a couple amateur fights here and there. But I think he's got a lot of potential. He skipped the contender series. He just got immediately signed into a fight with Quang Lee. I think Quang Lee is as good, if not better, than Angel Pacheco. Maybe Angel's more durable, and maybe he's a better overall striker, at least defensive wise. But I think Luna's just got a lot of finishing instinct. But I do think Angel Pacheco's tougher than I initially thought, looking at his topology, how many decisions he's been. So instead of a knockout, I'm going to go with a submission for Santiago Luna in this one. I think that I don't want to brand him like based off of his gym, but an area that I think New England cartel guys aren't particularly great at is grappling. I think their boxing is really good, but I feel like you can out grapple these guys, and he's bigger, longer reach. I could see clinch being like successful for him, where he lands big shots to the knees, to the body, and is able to kind of like hurt him to the body for a second and try to take his back, and then work to a position where he could submit him. So I'm gonna go with a torn between second or third. I'll go second. I'll go second round submission for Santiago Luna in an exciting fight where I think in the first round Pacheco is gonna want to be able to not necessarily push forward, but just kind of be in a range where he can see takedowns coming. He can see the straight shots coming, be more reactive than engage, so to speak. And I think he may even outpoint Santiago in the first round. But I think ultimately Luna is just going to keep closing distance. And even though he's getting hit, I think he'll eventually land some knees to the body in the clinch, land an elbow off the break, maybe open up a cut on Pacheco. And I think come the second round, he'll have more of a sense of urgency and he'll push forward. Same thing, where even if he's getting hit, but this time I think he works hard in the clinch or gets a takedown and is able to take his back and end up with a choke. I'm going to go second round submission for Border Boy. Retains his finishing streak as a professional.
Moving on to our next fight of the card, Imanol Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Now, Imanol Rodriguez is actually a prospect to flyweight I like a good bit. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. He lost to Joseph Morales in the Ultimate Fighter by split decision. And in Joseph Morales' last 5 fights, that's the only person he hasn't finished. That's of course what he used to beat Imanol Rodriguez. Imanol Rodriguez has got good power in his hands. He's a pretty well built dude. Got good muscles on him. Got good he's got good like back and shoulder muscles, which are good for like knocking people the fuck out. Like I feel like whenever I see people with those type of like shoulder muscles, I can really like you can see the knockouts in their fight. And I think Imanol Rodriguez is going to be like that in a division where there isn't too many knockout guys. I'm looking at his career. They're all finishes outside of the Joseph Morales fight where he lost. Every other fight he's finished by knockout, and there's only been one that's been a submission. So this guy's a finisher. I think Kevin Borjas is good. I think he's going to be able to mix it up, kickbox, and pretty much use his veteran savviness against Emmanuel Rodriguez. But I think Emmanuel Rodriguez is going to eventually connect with the chin. And I think people know that after the Alessandro Costa fight, that calf kicks are a weakness to Kevin Borjas. And I'd like to see people use that more often against him. I have a feeling Emmanuel Rodriguez is going to be another guy to use those against him. I like his hands. I like his grappling. I don't see a guy like Kevin Borjas having the grappling of Joseph Morales in order to outgrapple Emmanuel Rodriguez to a split decision. Even then, I think Emmanuel Rodriguez is like that. He's 6-0 as a professional because the loss happened on the Ultimate Fighter. I believe in this kid, and I think he's going to win by finish. I'm going to say second round KO, brutal, like one punch KO, like an uppercut or a right hook or something. I think this kid's got power, and I think he's going to show it on Saturday night.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I'm gonna go with Emmanuel as well. I think he's pretty good. Uh, I didn't really watch too much of that Ultimate Fighter fight, but from certain other things I've seen, like his Contender Series fight, I thought he looked pretty good. Um, I think he should kill Kevin Borjas. If you're getting unanimously, if you lose by, if you're getting decisionated by fucking Sumideraji, you're just fucking ass to me. So I shouldn't really need to explain my whole pick here. I got Imanol. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's young, hungry, undefeated, and we'll see how far he'll go. I'm gonna go with I'll go late. This might be a stretch. I'm gonna go with a late first round TKO. If not, he'll get him in the second for sure. But I'm gonna hit my shot there on that one.
I don't think that's a bad take at all, Mike. I'm looking at Emmanuel Rodriguez's record now professionally. I mean, all but one of the six wins are first round knockout. Oh no, well finishes in the first round. He has oh no, there's two. He has two second round knockouts and a first round sub. Every other finish is first round. So I don't mind that take at all. I am gonna go with Emmanuel Rodriguez as well. I really rate the Joseph Morales split decision loss. It was a competitive fight, and I think Joseph Morales is really good. In his second stint back in the UFC, he's looked more than prepared in both of his matchups against Idris, who just beat Ode Osborne, and Matt Schnell. Going back to this matchup, Emmanuel he looks legit, man. Looked good in the Ultimate Fighter. His volume, his power for flyweight, I think it's really good. His aggression is really good. Doesn't really I like fighters that I feel like don't leave things on the table. I feel like they go for it and win, lose, or draw, whatever the outcome may be, they're content with their performance. I feel like with Eminol, he gives his all every fight. Obviously, all fighters try, but you can kind of see a difference in intensity and willingness to take shots, to give them, and just to do whatever it takes to win by any means necessary. I feel like you can kind of see that in fighters sometimes. But he looks good as a prospect. 26 years old, Mexican, just a really aggressive fighter. Goes forward, doesn't leave anything. Even in a split decision loss to Morales, it's because Morales was able to get the grappling going. I don't see a world where Kevin Borjas can do that. This guy is primarily a striker. He has fought some tough guys: Alessandro Costa, Suma Derji, Joshua Van. But I mean, you know, I think Eminol's honestly from that was actually for flyweight. That's a good season for the Ultimate Fighter because it produced Morales, who's 2-0 in the UFC. It produced Idris, who was undefeated Ultimate Fighter, like favored to be the winner. He's 1-1 in the UFC, but only one pro loss. And you could argue Eminol is the at least the projection to be the best out of that class. And that's really saying something. So I think this guy is the truth. I'm torn between submission and knockout. I'm leaning towards knockout because Alessandro Costa was able to get punches from back mount. I feel like Eminol can either hurt him on the feet and then follow up shots, or he could take him down and get to that position. I feel like his wrestling isn't that bad. I just think Morales is a good grappler. I'm torn between which one. I'll lean towards TKO, and I'll go. Why not? I'll go late first round, just like Mike. I'm gonna go late first round TKO Emmanuel Rodriguez. I could see it either from a takedown, ground and pound, or I could see him just hurting him, drops him, and follows up. So I'm gonna go first round TKO for Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Moving on to our next fight of the card. Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Bunes, or should I say Edgar Van and Felipe Van, two children of our guy, the champion. But in all seriousness, I think this fight will actually be a lot of fun. Felipe Bunes is a pretty dynamic striker, despite him having a terrible record. He drew Rafael Estevam and Joshua Van, which are two hard opponents. I'll give him credit, and he fought well enough. Got the first round on Van, which people do that. Joshua Van has to kind of take that first round to download data. Chairez was able to drop Van as well. Uh, I think Chairez had a better showing though against Van than Bunez did. I feel like Edgar Chairez, he's got the kind of the dual threat here. He's got the boxing and the submission game, and it feels like he can really latch up certain submissions out of nowhere. I really do believe that he's very dangerous in the jiu-jitsu realm. Felipe Bunes is like 36, 38. Like, honestly, I think his chin, after you reach a certain point as a smaller fighter, you're going to get cracked by these bigger guys like Shiras, and you're going to go the fuck down. I think this will be a finish for Shirez. I think he's going to drop Bunez pretty bad. Bunez is going to get up, and Edgar Shirez is going to immediately latch on to that front headlock guillotine and just sub him like that. And, he's done that a couple times now. It seems to be like a go-to move of his. Let's say Edgar Shirez by guillotine at the end of the first round after a kind of a scrappy first round where Felipe Bunez is throwing a lot of kicks to the guard and making it a fun fight to watch in the first round. But Shirez with the forward pressure clips him, grabs the guillotine. Shirez first round gilly.
Um, yeah, good good prediction from Alex. I'm gonna go with Edgar Chairez too. I think he's the lock of one of the locks of the card. I think, if not the lock of the card. Uh, I just never really thought Bunez was like. I don't really think he's like that, honestly. I think Shirez is just gonna kill him. I think he's gonna go with I'm gonna go with Shirez first round KO. Or second round KO, one of the two. I think he's gonna knock him out. He could sub him. He could, but Shirez has power, dude. He really does. He wobbled Tyra, and I think because of that, I will end up probably gonna pick Joshua Van in that fight. But this isn't not the prediction video for that. That is another discussion for another time. But yeah, Edgar Shirez, I got him knocking out Bunez. I think he's tough, durable, and you're gonna have to have some set of balls to beat Shirez, in my opinion. And I don't think Bunez has the grapes for him.
The fight here in the flyweight division, we have Edgar Chairez, looks like flyweight Peloton, going up against Felipe Bunez, Filipino. Both these guys, similar to another fight that we had on the card, the Moutinho and Quinones fight. These guys are no stranger to defeat. Again, not saying that it's a knock on them, but it's just an observation. Both these guys have over four plus pro losses, so they're not perfect. But like I said, no fighter truly is unless you're like a very select hand few, literally like a hand few. But going back to this matchup, Mexico versus Brazil, I am going to go with Edgar Chairez as well. I'm going to make it a clean sweep. Bunez, what could be said? Above 500, trains with the Pitbull brothers. He has, I guess, on paper, I would say he's the better grappler, I suppose. Just because he has more submission wins, solely because of that, really. I do think Chairez is a better striker. I think Chairez has fought just as good, if not better, competition. They both fought Joshua Van. Uh, you know, I just feel like Bunez is very hittable. I don't think he's anything special. He has only been knocked out the one time. But Chirez doesn't really do good in decision scenarios. He's 0-4 in his career. He's kind of a finish or bust kind of fighter. I like the gym that he trains at in Entram. That's where like Morales trains. Um, I just think he's the better fighter. Even though they both got multiple losses, I think he's more dangerous. I think he's more of a potential fight-ending fighter. I like the people he's training with Daniel Barres, Marcelo Rojo, Andreas Martinetti. I like those people in his gym. I think in Mexico, he's gonna want to go for the finish and impress. Coming off the rear naked choke win over CJ Vergara. I don't like CJ Vergara. It doesn't look like an impressive win on paper, but finishing CJ Vergara isn't as easy as you'd think it would be. Asu Alambayev couldn't even do that, if I'm not mistaken. But we double check if I'm right on that real quick. Just want to see if I'm right on that. Yeah, he lost a decision to Alambayev. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go Chirez. I'm gonna go TKO. He can grapple with Bunez. I don't think Bunez is crazy, but I just feel like because he has more submissions and Chirez has never been knocked out, but he's been subbed twice, I feel like he'd be more weary of the ground. And I feel like there's such a gap on the feet. I think his boxing's better. I think his power is better. His durability, I think, is better. He's never been knocked out. I'm torn between first and second round TKO. I'll go. Bunez has only been knocked out one time. I'll go second round TKO. I think Bunez is going to try to grapple, and I think Chirez is going to do a good job in the scrambling to stay safe, to not allow any submission potential to occur, and just scramble back on the feet and get back to landing his good shots. I think body shots are going to be good here for Chirez on Bunez. And yeah, I think body shots are going to set up shots to the head and so forth. I'm going to go with a second round TKO for Edgar Chirez.
Moving on to our feature fight of the evening, Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. Now, this is a close one, but the way I see it, Bobby Green can win this fight and still lose, and that's enough to make me pick Zellhuber. This is the fight, I feel like when you're in an area like this, like Mexican fighters in Mexico, you got to pick which Mexican prospects. In the case of a split decision, they're going to decide to push versus not. I think Zellhuber, if it's close with Bobby Green, we've seen already they do not like giving Bobby Green decisions for whatever reason. I think he's going to lose the fight by probably a close split decision where he wins, probably. To be honest, I could see him winning. Michael Johnson destroyed Daniel Zellhuber. And, that's hunk. Daniel Zellhuber just kind of a fraud at this point. He had a good fight with Ribovics, and we thought both of these guys were going to be top tier prospects. And it seems like Ribovics might be, but doesn't seem that way for Zellhuber at least yet. I don't see too much of a skill gap, to be honest, between Bobby Green and Michael Johnson. I think they're probably similar ranked, similar fighters. I think the fight between them would be very close. I think Bobby Green, honestly, can probably win this fight 2-1, but I think it's going to be close. I think Zellhuber is going to win a round probably pretty clearly with his kicks. I could see him hurting Bobby Green at a moment. Sometimes he gets wild with the hooks, and although he can be read easily, if he hits you, it does hurt. He hurt Ribovics, I think, with his hands at one point. His boxing has gotten better. That being said, he's had some losses that are kind of unforgivable. Michael Johnson's one of them, but people forget about fucking Trey Ogden in his debut. If you're losing to Trey Ogden, you're liable to lose to Bobby Green. That being said, in Mexico, I do think this will be a close fight. It tends to be Bobby Green. I think even if Bobby Green has his style of fight, Zellhuber will probably still win on the scorecards by robbery split decision, and that's going to be my prediction. I think it'll be very close. But I think Zellhuber is going to have that image of throwing a lot of body kicks to the arms that people aren't 100% sure if they are counted as blocked or landed, or they're not sure how they're scored, and the judges are going to take advantage of that and give I almost said Yair Rodriguez, Zellhuber a 29-28 split decision in Mexico.
Yeah, interesting fight in the lightweight division. Bobby Green has the opportunity to do the funniest shit in lightweight history. Bobby Green has the opportunity to do funniest shit in American history. Bro, I really want to pick Bobby Green just because the Octagon interview has the opportunity to be the funniest shit ever. Like I could just see Bobby go full downs and being like, "Yeah, I just destroyed this guy in your hometown. What's good? What's up?" That's how Bobby Green sounds like. But I think it's gonna be a split decision. I do think Bobby Green will win the fight, but I don't think he will win the decision. I think Daniel Zahuber needs some type of confidence boost for fuck's sake, man. He got fucked up he already got fucked up by Unk Mike, and he got pieced up by my boy Ribovix. There's no way, right? There's no way. There's no way in God's green earth that he gets fucking boxed the fuck up by Bobby. There's no way. There's no way. I really want to pick Bobby Green because I could just so see a world where Daniel Zahuber pusses out and just sits still and shill guard like how he did in the Ribovix fight. Bobby Green's just going, "What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm right here. I'm right here. Papa, I'm right here." Like Bobby Green shit where he just stands still, hands down, just starts jabbing up Daniel Zahuber. Daniel Zahuber, he's so fucking bad, but he needs this one, and I think he will get it by split decision. But I really want to pick Bobby Green. This is giving me Grant Dawson vibes, damn near. Like I should pick him. I really do want to pick him. But that Mexican side in me, well, I'm not fucking Mexican. No, I'm not. But you know what I mean. Like that side, like it's in Mexico, and shit like that. I could just hear a random 29-28. I could just see Bobby Green crashing out in the background, being like, "How the fuck did I win that?" Bobby Green sounds like a fucking 15-year-old teenager. All right, I'm done. I got Zellhuber split decision robbery.
Yeah, I don't mind Alex and Mike's sentiments and their thoughts on this fight, especially when you look at the odds for this fight. They have Daniel Zellhuber upwards of a minus 500 favorite. I do not believe he should be favored to that extremity. I do not think he is that wide of a margin of a favorite over Bobby Green, and that's coming from someone who picks against Bobby Green damn near every fight. I picked against him with Lance Gibson, and I'll be honest with you, they were trying to rob that fight for me in that pick. That was a split decision. If you watch that fight, that's 30-27 Bobby Green. For his standards, that was a blowout performance. Lance Gibson just stared at him, got outstruck, could not do anything with the grappling. That was not a split decision. That's a case of where you got to watch the fight and actually see it, that was not a split decision. That was like 30-27, no bullshit. And I picked Lance Gibson in that fight. That in itself tells you the type of luck Bobby Green's had in his career with the reps. I mean, this guy's been on the shitty end of the stick in a lot of decision-based scenarios, and if I just go look at it on Tapology, um, he's been to what is this? He has 13 decision wins and what looks like 8 decision losses. So that's not a great win rate. I mean, and he's getting the shitty end of the stick, man. Like, he's in Mexico. He's going against a younger prospect. We already know that the UFC wants Mexico to be They want to have a relevant They want to just have that fan base because Mexicans are so big in boxing that the UFC wants some of that action too. That's why they put performance institutes there, and that's why they're so heavy on trying to advocate for high ranking spots. In this matchup, though, I feel like it is closer than the odds would tell you. But I just think, given his luck with the refs, it's terrible that I have to say this in an assessment for the pick. Like, nothing to do with their skills. It's just the way how it goes. Bobby Green just doesn't get split decisions in his favor. I think this is a close fight, but I think Michael Johnson and Bobby Green are very similar, but I think their brands of boxing are different. I think Bobby Green's more counter striker, more defensive boxer, kind of more of a Strickland type style, whereas Michael Johnson with his southpaw look, like naturally, like he's a southpaw, so like it's just you don't see those as compared to orthodox fighters. I think he's way more offensive. I think he's got way more power. I think he sits down on his punches way more. I think it is a different style of striking. You look at Zellhuber's loss against Ogden, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of that was just grappling. Um, Bobby Green ain't gonna do that. He's gonna strike. I think the kicks are gonna be weighed more heavily than the jabs and the punches of Bobby Green. Youth is very much in favor of Zellhuber. I think that was a wake up call, the Michael Johnson fight. Not to mention, did y'all remember that? Did y'all think the Ribovich fight was a split decision?
No.
I thought
That
it
was
was a clear 29-28.
right. That was a split decision, and like I'm just saying, like given his luck with split decisions, like for that fight to be as close as that was, it feels like Bobby Green's got to do that or better. Like he's got to damage Zellhuber to that extremity to get his hand raised in a decision-based scenario. It feels like he has to do what Ribovich was doing in terms of landing big shots and like stealing the crowd and shit. I don't think he's capable. I don't think not necessarily that he's not capable. I just think that his style isn't Ribovich's style. Ribovich goes forward way more. I think he's way more offensive. I'll go with Daniel Zellhuber decision win, where they value his kicks more than Bobby Green's punches, essentially. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go Daniel Zellhuber in a decision win. Close fight, definitely closer than what the odds would appear.
Another clean sweep, and we all agree that Bobby Green will continue to be the male Angela Hill. Moving on to the co-main event, Cheeto Vera versus David Martinez. We're talking about heavy bags earlier. They don't make heavy bags like Cheeto Vera anymore, unless you're counting Jose Medina. Cheeto Vera at one point, I was a big fan. I thought he was a dope fighter. Even though he kind of took a minute to download data, I felt like when he would really get off, he'd be vicious. Vicious with the elbows, the oblique kicks. It seemed like he really wanted to hurt his opponents. Nowadays, it feels like he kind of like doesn't even know what to do in there. Like he doesn't really know what to do. It's kind of weird to look at because he's like on the verge of winning some fights by knockdowns, and that's the only way he ever wins, like just by sheer knockdowns. If he didn't get knockdowns on Dominic Cruz, he would have lost every round. It's one of those weird things. A lot of the judges scored those rounds to Dominic Cruz despite the knockdowns. That's how badly old man Dominic Cruz was outscoring him. Like Cheeto Vera is truly a heavy bag. He is there to be hit. In a 3 rounders, that minimizes his chances to find a KO blow. I think David Martinez, he's a blockhead. Looking at him, he's got that square head. Uh, Mexican as well. Mexicans don't really get knocked out. And then when you mix in the square head, I don't see him getting chinned. I can see him getting dropped, like in like a Jai Herbert, Ilya Taporia kind of moment. But honestly, think he has enough in him to win this fight by decision pretty clearly, especially in Mexico. They don't want Cheeto to win; they want him gone. Um, at this point, Cheeto Vera, we've given you every opportunity to kind of improve and fix the one glaring hole in your game that is output, and you just haven't been able to do it. Honestly, you got dropped by Figueiredo as well. First knockdown of your career. Clearly, that's something starting to give. We saw that for the first time with Max Holloway in the Gaethje fight, and he got slept his next fight. So maybe that's on the verge for Marlon Vera as well, a guy with a historically great chin. On the verge of winning the Zahabi fight by knockdown, sells the last 2 rounds. I think it could be a very similar fight where maybe he clips Martinez in one of these rounds, since Martinez is kind of a younger fighter that's getting jumped up in the rankings early, which I think is to blame for the UFC and the fact that they just want to push a lot of Mexican fighters up the rankings so they can continue to have noche events and take advantage of that market. I do think he's going to land enough calf kicks and jabs and knees and everything to win a 29-28 decision against Cheeto Vera. I don't think Cheeto Vera just, like I said earlier, he really just looks like he doesn't know what he's doing in there. And that's the best description I can give for Cheeto Vera. I think David Martinez, despite being a rookie, does have a semblance of a winning fighter. And I think that's enough against Cheeto Vera. I'll say 29-28 with David Martinez escaping a scary moment, just scoring with calf kicks, just scoring all night on a heavy bag.
First things first, I want to give this to Cheeto Vera. He's gonna need that on Saturday. Um, Honestly, bro, I'm fucking done with Cheeto. I mean, I've been done with him ever since I saw him grabbing Ian Gary's dick on the shower. First things first. No offense, Tony. Tony's the straightest Ecuador I know. Uh, Shout out to my boy Alex too from high school, but there's a lot of gay shit happening in fucking Ecuador. First, you guys are dressing up like fucking women. I don't know what's going on there, and then you got Cheeto over here grabbing fucking Ian Gary's Lucky Charms in the fucking shower. I don't know what is going on, man. There's a lot of gay shit going on, and that wasn't the main reason why I stopped being a fan. He's just a fucking heavy bag, like Alex said. I'm tired of Cheeto. Like, like he just allows people to tee off on him, and then he'll wait for that one shot and hope it lands. And it's like, if you're not 35 years old, it's not 100% guaranteed you're gonna get knocked the fuck out by Cheeto. And honestly, he just tries too hard to knock somebody out, like out cold. Like he doesn't really go for extra shots. He just hopes that he puts you out cold, like Frankie, how he did with Frankie, and how he did with Dom and certain other fighters. Like, he just tries too hard to go for the aura farm TikTok at it. But Cheeto's dog shit, man. I'm honestly done with him. If they cut him after this, I could give less of a fuck. He's a fucking punching bag. I'm kind of sick with him. Sick of him. He had all this time in his career to improve, and he just continued to be a fucking disgrace. And I'm going with David Martinez. I'm gonna go with the decision. I do think Cheetah will get knocked out in the future, but I don't think it will be today. I'll go David Martinez 30-27 decision. Maybe a 29-28, mainly because he doesn't really have too much experience. I could probably see him Cheeto having some type of moment, and then Cheeto will just go off by that moment thinking he won the fight, and then he'll complain like a little bitch at the end. I almost said a different word, but you know what I mean. Anyways, I got David Martinez decision.
Main event of the evening in Mexico City. You know, one of the top 10, if not top 5 finishers all time in bantamweight history. Cheeto Vera going up against David Martinez, the Doctor. I think his nickname was the Black Spartan before he changed it to the Doctor. Martinez coming off of a good decision win against Rob Font. I'll admit though, kind of questionable game plan from Rob Font. I don't know exactly what he wanted to do in that fight. He like tried to shoot takedowns a lot more than I thought he would in that fight. Nonetheless, Martinez got his hand raised in that one. Uh, I think the blueprint to beat Cheeto Vera, is simply put, is don't be an old man and throw volume. And I like Cheeto. I do. He's an all-time finisher in bantamweight history. It's not opinion. It's a fact. He actually is statistically a top 10, if not top 5, like in finishes all time. That is, that just speaks to the finishing rate of bantamweight. Call it whatever it is. But the demographic of what he finishes is usually older fighters. Frankie Edgar, Dominic Cruz. These guys kind of fit that description. David Martinez is not that. Um, all of Cheeto Vera's losses are by decision, but for bantamweight standards, David Martinez seems to have power. 10 knockout wins and 13 pro wins. Yeah, 10 knockouts. I mean, he hits hard. He didn't like drop Rafon or anything, but he earned respect on the feet. He made Rafon want to grapple. I guess take that for whatever it's worth. Cheeto's definitely more experienced. He's fought better people. That there's no question of that. But like I said, the blueprint out on him is like decisions, volume, output. I actually picked against him in his last fight against Damon Zahavi in Canada, and I thought it would be a close decision, and I was right. But what shocked me was that he hurt Eamon like pretty visibly, and he wasn't able to follow up with it. I was like, if he can't catch him hurt with his footwork, I mean, now he's gonna have to do it against a younger, way more like footwork heavy kind of fighter and David Martinez. I think he can play the kicking game. Martinez has like a similar build to Figueiredo, 5'5", like 67.5 inch reach. It's like very similar to Figgy. He does have power, but Cheeto's very durable. I'm gonna go with the David Martinez decision win, where he just kind of outpoints Cheeto on the back foot, going forward in the mid range. I feel like he's just more active, but I ain't gonna lie, Cheeto has fought high level guys. Like this is a step down in competition. Martinez is young, and I think you have to say Cheeto Vera is the best fighter he's faced up to this point. But if he can't finish Zahabi on the feet, I'm supposed to think he can beat David Martinez on the feet. That's hard for me to do. In Mexico City, his output isn't great to begin with. How is it going to be in elevation? That's another factor. I'm going to go David Martinez in a decision where he just outpoints Cheeto Vera. Maybe even has a moment where he hurts him or knocks him down. If he's the first guy to finish Cheeto, could you say Cheeto's chin's eroded? Potentially, but still, if he were able to do that, that would be very impressive, where guys like O'Malley couldn't. But for the sake of his durability, I'll go David Martinez decision.
Moving on to the main event of the evening. Flyweight showdown between Brandon Moreno and Loner Kavanagh. Now, originally, I was a big fan of Brandon Moreno, and I picked him a lot. I picked him correctly in the second Figueiredo fight. I picked him in the third Figueiredo fight incorrectly, and I picked him in the fourth fight against Figueiredo correctly. After that, I thought, we were gonna be on a good little Moreno title run. Picked him against Pantoja. Thought he was gonna get it done. Didn't work out. It's okay. Pantoja's great. I thought he was gonna get that one against Royval, and I thought he would at least fight the way he fought against everybody, including Pantoja in the fight right before that. He debuted this new style of trying to like point fight and counter strike. The whole thing that made Moreno good in the first place was pressure and volume, and there's none of that anymore. He would rather sit on the back foot and pitter pat. I got news for you. That's Loner Kavanagh's game, and he does more than just pitter pat at that range. He's ripping mean body kicks, leg kicks, head kicks, hooks to the body, head, clinch knees. This is a guy who's been in Muay Thai tournaments in Thailand ever since he was 5. I mean, Loner Kavanagh's one of the best strikers at flyweight right now. Coming off a Charles Johnson loss, it is hard to say that. Charles Johnson seems to be kind of like his maybe distant relative Michael Johnson. They both seem to have that gene of like show up today, don't show up tomorrow. Didn't show up against Alex Perez, but he showed up against Joshua Van. He showed up against the guy here, Loner Kavanagh. I think Brandon Moreno is live to win this fight. He, of course, was a former champion. A lot of 5-round fights. He has that 5-round experience in cardio, and it's been proven. Uh, but at the same time, so is Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker did not have cardio for 5 rounds over the course of the Rainer de Ritter fight, despite him having 5-round cardio for every other fight of his career. And I feel like that happened after a style change. You would say, oh, how is throwing less going to be more cardio deficient to Moreno? Well, I think against a guy like Loner Kavanagh, he would be smart to mix in the grappling more. And I honestly think that's going to be his approach. And I think Loner Kavanagh's got a good enough takedown defense to mitigate those to a certain degree. I do think there will be moments where he's on bottom, but he honestly doesn't get taken down very often. And Moreno doesn't really get a lot of finishes off the ground recently. The most recent one that I can remember is Figueiredo in the second fight against an extremely depleted Figueiredo. Uh, I feel like Moreno has lost his touch. I feel like Loner Kavanagh, despite coming off of a bad loss, is a young guy who's a great striker, explosive, and I feel like he's going to win it on the feet. I think Moreno's losing his chin, and you never know when these older guys might just show up and not be themselves. Might just show up and have no cardio like Whitaker. Might just show up and have no chin one day like Jeff Neal. It's you never know. And I think Brandon Moreno is on the verge of that. He's taken a lot of damage in his career. Young guy, hits hard, hits fast, well disciplined striker like Loner Kavanagh. That sounds like a chin break to me. I'm going to be picking Loner Kavanagh to shatter the chin of Brandon Moreno in this fight in Mexico City. I'm going to be picking Brandon Moreno to get KO'd again. Uh, Tyra fight was kind of weird. It was more of like just him in a weird position that he couldn't defend himself in. He didn't really get KO'd. He was awake the whole time. I think this is a moment where we get a proper TKO. I think this is a fight where Loner Kavanagh is going to TKO Moreno in the third round. I think Moreno is going to get to wrestling. He's going to have some success, but he's going to realize at some point Loner's going to expect the takedowns and start timing knees to the body, knees to the head, uppercuts. And Moreno's going to be like, all right, I need to get respect with my hands back. And open up a little bit, and Loner's going to catch him. I'm going to say Loner Kavanagh, third round KO, pull back straight.
Uh tough fight to predict. A bit of me wants to Alex picked Kavanaugh, I'm guessing, yeah. Yeah, I kind of want to join him on that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really do. I like Kavanaugh. I like him more than most, but I'm gonna have to pick Brandon Moreno to win in Mexico. I think Mexico has been through. Alex, you think Mexico has been through a lot, man? Come on, bro. you think you think you think Brandon Moreno can't like come on. I think Brandon Moreno needs this, man. I think Mexico needs it, man. I think their lovable Lego lover need to get this dub, man. I got Brandon Moreno. I'm gonna go with the decision here. I honestly don't mind Alex's pick. I wanted to pick him, but then Hernandez lost. The whole Mexican drug cartel shit happened, and you know, and other shit that's happened in Mexico. It's tough out there, and I think I could just so see Brandon Moreno getting the win and just having some like powerful message about what's going on in Mexico and shit. And yeah, I think I think he's gonna pull it off here. I think he's gonna use the experience. Not only that, the full camp, and I do think Kavanaugh could pull it off. I actually think he could knock out Brandon Moreno, but I think Brandon needs this win more than Kavanaugh just for this week, honestly. But I don't hate the pick if you're picking Kavanaugh, but I'm gonna go with Brandon Moreno. I'll go with a 48-47, maybe a 49-46 decision.
Main event of the evening in Mexico City. This is a good one. The flyweight division. This was originally going to be Brandon Moreno versus Asu Alimbayev, but that fight fizzled out. Uh, Now we have Floner Kavanagh coming off of his TKO loss to Charles Johnson. It is going to be interesting to see how is he able to respond from his first career pro loss. But Brandon Moreno, I think he's proven former champion of the world. The victor of the series between him and Devison Figueiredo, my favorite flyweight of all time, Devison. Moreno was able to get the better of him in the series. This is a guy who's paid his dues. He's had his ups, he's had his downs in his career. He's excuse me. He's had at least two stints in the UFC. Became the champion in the second stint. He's fought the best of the best in the flyweight division. I mean, truthfully, like he really has. He's fought Figgy multiple times. He's fought Kai Kara France. He's fought Pantoja multiple times. He's fought Royval multiple times. He's fought Tetsuro Taira, um, Askar Askarov, who's not even in the UFC anymore. The list goes on and on. He's just fought Husier Formiga, another guy who was highly ranked. Like Moreno's literally fought everybody in multiple kind of eras, low key in flyweight history. As for Loner Kavanagh, I think he is the more younger prospect with more promising future, just given because he's younger and less wear and tear. Even though he is coming off his first pro defeat and his first pro defeat by finish, I still think he is a very good prospect. 26 years old, 9-1 record. I think his striking is elite. Honestly, I'll be honest. I think he is a better striker than Moreno. I think his kickboxing and just his striking overall is legit. I think Loner Kavanagh is like that on the feet. Um, my area of concern with him is what does he look like in fights that are extended. He does have 4 decision wins in his record in Cage Warriors, which I do think is a good regional promotion. Um, he's got 4 knockouts. So 50% of the time when he wins by decision. The other 50%, well, he has 1 sub, but for the most part, he gets knockout or decision. He's a clean striker, really good striker, good takedown defense in the UFC, at least 89%, and he's never been subbed, so never really seen him get out grappled. He's never lost a decision. So his grappling and his striking, you can make the argument he's better in both fields, honestly. The question for me is I don't think he's ever been in the 5 round setting. Yeah, I mean, he's gone to decisions, but I don't know if those were, yeah, those were mainly 3 rounders. He's never been in the 5 round like championship setting. He's coming off his first pro loss. In the UFC, his gas tank hasn't looked bad, but in the Johnson fight, he was weltering. Now the thing is, I think Charles Johnson has better takedown defense than Moreno, and I think about the same level power, but like he's just more of an awkward style because he's like above average size at flyweight. It's a tough fight, very tough fight, and I see why Alex is going with Loner because I do think he is a very skilled mixed martial artist. I think he is like that. I don't hate to take it all. Skill for skill, I do think right about now you could make the argument he's better. But I am going to pick Brandon Moreno in this one. This is just a you got to prove it to me fight. If Loner wins this fight, I know that he would have beaten a former champion in a hostile environment, coming off his first pro loss, and to be able to make those strides and leaps on essentially short notice. He was scheduled originally to fight Bruno Silva like 2 weeks from now, but he took the opportunity here. Who wouldn't? Um, I think he's really good, and I do think he is like that, but I just don't like this spot for him. I've never seen him in a 5 round setting. His gas tank isn't bad, but it's his gas tank was weltering in the Johnson fight. Now he's got to go in elevation in the 5 rounder against a former champ. I don't think. I guess if I had to pick which edge I'd give more to Moreno, I'd take grappling. I do think striking Kavanagh's better. I think Kavanagh wins the first 2 rounds, and then I think Moreno rallies in the final 3. It's a close fight. Could even be a split, but I'm going to go Brandon Moreno by decision where he wins the last 3 rounds after losing the first 2. I think those championship rounds and as the fight progresses, Loner's going to fatigue and it's going to be more easier for Moreno to land, maybe get a takedown if he needs it. You know, even though he lost to Tyra, that's his first pro TKO loss. I don't really I think his chin is fine. I just think he was in a bad position. I did pick him in that fight, so maybe you could say there's a bias, but no, I think he was just stuck in a bad position. At least on paper, I don't see Kavanagh having him in back mount. At least on paper, I don't see that occurring. I think Moreno's got good scrambles. I think Tyra's grappling's next level. Um, yeah, I think Kavanagh wins the first 2 rounds and looks like a fucking future champion. But round 3, you see a significant drop off in intensity in his shots. His kicks aren't as sharp. You'll see some fatigue, and I think Moreno, to me, he still really hasn't been knocked out for real yet. He's been hurt on the feet though. Figgy's hurt him. Kai Kara France was landing on him in the rematch. Uh, I don't hate the Kavanaugh pick. I don't. I like Kavanaugh more than Moreno, honestly. But I just think this is a you got to prove it to me fight. I've never seen him in a 5 round setting. Now he's going to fight elevation against a former champ. I'm going to go Brandon Moreno by decision. Good fight though.
And that will conclude our UFC Mexico Loner Kavanagh versus Brandon Moreno fight predictions. Thank you, everybody, for watching along. Special shout out to one of our subscribers, Torta Pounder JS305. Thanks for the support, man. We'll come back for another card next week for the BMF Oliveira versus Holloway. Keep a lookout for that. And yeah, anybody got a take on a fight of the night, performance of the night before we end this?
If Medina wins, I'm him. Um, I will feel like I just hit like a full court shot from the parking lot. So if that
Yeah,
hits,
that
I'm
would be crazy.
yeah, that'd be hilarious. I'd love to hit that. But fight of the night because I have it going the distance. I'll go Moreno Kavanaugh. It could be a banger.
My pick for fight of the night is actually a prelim fight. I'm gonna go Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. I think that'll be a banger. And I
That's a good
think
pick. That's a good pick.
performance of the night, I could see a very big penis performance in the early prelim opener. I think he gets it done and maybe gets a 50K. I don't know what he'd spend that 50K on. Hopefully, nothing too freaky. But I think Pinas will get 50K. And I could see Santiago Luna if he gets it. No, I'm going to go Imanol Rodriguez as my other 50K. I think he gets it done in brutal fashion. But yeah, that'll end it for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Peace.